because generally the numbers are going to go from small to big or big to small. So if you start in the middle and you already realize it's too big or small, then you can potentially eliminate answers. Again, making it fast.
If you guys start with C, what winds up happening is typically you never have to test more than 2 answer choices.
Well, yeah, in the new SAT, there's only 4 answer choices anyway, so that's why start with B or C should be good. So better than I could have done. Okay, so the way this works, guys, is literally just what it sounds like. You're just going to plug in the answer choices. So given what we're looking for here, which is that we want 3x over 4 plus 10 to equal 8, x over 8 plus 15, what would it make sense for us to start with for x? Something that's divisible by what? So I like to make my life as easy as possible, so I'm just going to assume the lazy way, right? So the lazy way is saying that I don't want to put necessarily 12 up there because I don't want to deal with 12 divided by 8 plus 15. That gives me fractions. I don't want to deal with fractions if I don't have to. So I try to make sure that that doesn't happen. Also, given the fact that they're equal and we've got plus 10 and plus 15, that kind of tells me that likely making those fractions come out somewhere nice and neat is going to help out. So since we have a 4 in the denominator and an 8 in the denominator, we're going to go with something that's divisible by 4 and more importantly 8. So what happens when we plug in 8? You simply take the answer choice and you plug it in. So awesome. Magic. Okay. So then we have 3 times 8, 24, divided by 4 is 6 plus 10. That gives us 16. And then on the other side, 1 plus 15, 16 equals 16. So notice what we plugged in made it work. So that's how you can tell if you pick the right answer choice and you plug the right answer choice in, is if it works. If you would have ended up with like 16 equals 14, that doesn't work. So that means it's wrong. Seems like a silly clarification, but I've had students get to that point and not know if they did it right or not. Any questions on that? Let's go with Hannah.
A water tower is filled to 3/4 of its capacity. If 3/5 of the water it is currently holding were to be released, what fraction of its capacity would it hold?
Okay, so this one, guys, is very similar to what we talked about in problem number 1, right? Is there, oh, we lost our stuff.
Sorry, we're working on it.
I,
Give us 1 second.
That's spoiled, I was going to have Alex write it.
You're too spoiled.
Okay, so the way we're going to do this, guys, we're going to not talk in terms of fractions, we're going to talk in actual numbers, okay? So what do we know is that a tower is filled to 3/4 of its capacity, and 3/5 of the water it's currently holding is released. What fraction of capacity does it hold? So let's talk about the number they're referring to. It's filled to its capacity, so let's give it a capacity. And the best way to do this, guys, is to use the largest denominator given, okay? So what's our largest denominator in those answer choices? 20. Oh, good, he's back. Oh, is that you? Oh. This is going to be fun. Okay, okay, so we have 20. Okay, so we're going to say our capacity is 20. Now it says that the water is filled to 3/4 of its capacity. So how much is it filled to, guys? What's 3/4 of 20? 15. Okay. Okay, so, and then 3/5 of the water is currently holding. So how much is it currently holding? 15. So 3/4 of that is going to be released. So what's 3/4 of 15? Or 3/5 of 15, rather, sorry? 9. So we're going to lose 9 of that. How much is left? 6. So what fraction of its capacity would it hold? 6 out of the 20 we originally had, which reduces to? No. 3/10. Good man. Any questions? Questions on that? Who got that right? Good job. Super awesome. Okay. Okay, let's go with Noah.
Lewis is 3 times old. Sorry, Lewis is 3 times as old as his sister Denise, who is 5 years older than their cousin Celeste. If in 18 years Lewis will be twice as old as Celeste, who will be dead, how old is Denise?
Okay, so you've seen these problems show up a lot, right? In 5 years and 3 times as old, it can get very confusing. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set up a chart.
Yep.
Gives a lot of confidence. There you go. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna set up a chart, right? So who do we have here? Oh, that's not the one. Oh, no, well, losing it. Okay, so we've got Lewis, we've got his sister Denise, and 5 years older than the cousin Celeste. Those are our people, right? And then we have, if in 18 years, so we have now, and then we have plus 18. Is everyone with me so far? Handwriting is awful, this is not doing justice. Okay, so we have, it says Celeste, how old is Denise? So that's what the answer choices give us, right? How old is Denise? So what we're gonna do is we are going to use that to our advantage. We're going to decide based on the answer choices how old Denise is. Where do you wanna start? How old do you want her to be? We're gonna just try, and we're gonna see if it all works out. Give me the answer choice.
C.
You want Denise to be 8 years old? We'll start with C. Okay, so Denise is, if she were 9, now let's just work through it. It says that Lewis is 3 times as old as his sister Denise, so how old is Lewis? 27, right? And then Celeste, Denise is 5 years older than her cousin Celeste, so how old is Celeste? 4, good. Then in 18 years, Lewis will be twice as old as Celeste. So in 18 years, how old will Lewis be? Guys, 45, good job. And then Celeste will be 22. So at this point, Celeste will be, or it says Lewis should be twice as old as Celeste. Is that true? Is that what our numbers did? No. So that means we picked the wrong answer. How do I erase this?
Turn your pen over.
Does it work like that?
Yep.
This is not working. Technology, I'm trying, it's not going.
It erased some of them, yeah.
It erases it. Just gotta give it a second, see?
Oh. It's working. I think I erased the last.
Unless you got rid, yeah, you accidentally got rid of the C.
It's okay, I can put it back. Guys, I promise I'm gonna get a lot more proficient as we go. Alright, so how old do we want Denise to be now? Who thinks they got it right initially?
What'd you get?
Just get
She said 8.
8? Let's try it. So if Denise is 8, and then Lewis is 3 times as old as Denise, so that would make him 24. Denise would be, or Celeste would be how old? 3. 18 years, how old is Lewis? And in 18 years, Celeste is? Bam, twice as old. Perfect. Any questions on that? So the key is, guys, you want to let your answer choices work for you. Can you set this up algebraically? Can you work, yes, work in variables in terms of years plus 18 or minus 18? Totally fine if you're super comfortable doing that. If you ever, if for the slightest second, hesitate and not know which direction, if you're adding 18, subtracting 18, which variables are in the present, which are in the future or the past, make a chart. Just don't be a hero, get the question right. That's what I care about. All right, number 5. Let's go with Benjamin.
The diagram above represents a square garden. If each side of the garden is increased in length by 50%, by what percent is the area of the garden increased?
All right, guys, is there any way we could ever know how big this garden is? No, right? They don't give us enough information. All we do is we have things that are compared to each other. Does that make sense? So what do we do in that case? Make up numbers, that's it. It's over and over again, guys. But it's important to see these strategies happen in multiple scenarios so that when they come up on the test, you know how to approach them. So, got a square garden, and each side is increased in length by 50%. So here's another trick, guys. If I'm talking about that, ultimately I want to know what is the percent that the area increases. What should I make the sides of my original square garden? What would make our life easy? I'm all about making life easy, guys. 2 is okay, but there's still going to be more math. Think about percents. 100, okay, so we're on the right track. So we could make the sides 100, still starts getting a little big, a lot of zeros happening there. What? We could make it 1, that could work, but now we're dealing with decimals, I don't like that either. What about 10? What if we make the sides of the garden 10? How do you feel about that? Because what does that do to our area, guys? That is awesome. Our original area is 100, okay? Then what happens? That the sides increase in length by 50%. So what are the new side lengths? 15. You do have to now multiply 15 by 15, that's true. So what's the new area? Good. A bigger number. So ultimately we want to know by what percent did it increase? Not what's the area, but by what percent did it increase? So if I go from 100 to 225, what is my percent increase? 125, guys. So the reason I started with 10 and 10 is because whenever you're dealing with percent change, percent increases, percent decreases, or percent changes, you want to focus on starting with 100 if at all humanly possible, because then the difference is just the same as the change. Any questions on that? Who got that right first? Okay. So the good news, you guys are really smart. So some of these you may not need, some of them maybe you will. Okay, so number 6. Just by looking at it, I know you guys have already done it, but now that we've gone over some strategies, what's our strategy for number 6? What are we going to do? Make up numbers. Good. I want everyone to take a minute, and I want you to resolve your problem that you did on number 6 by making up numbers. Okay? Everyone take 2 minutes. Even if you got it right, if you did it, algebraic fractions are beautiful, and your algebra's great. Make up numbers. Practice. Take 2 minutes.
How's that working?
Good. I think we need to request a podium. Okay. Next time? Yeah. Bring something just because that's the only. Yeah, it's not a big issue. All right. Did you guys still working on it?
Who was able to make up numbers and make it work?
Take a minute. Nice. Have you been inheriting
Work out for you?
strategies? That's awesome, because that means you're ahead of the game.
Like she said, this is one thing when you're dealing with easy problems. The good news about making up numbers is it works even when you're dealing
I mean, in other tests, this is not good. So this test, we'll just get it right.
I could also do this, and all of a sudden you got the right point. How about over here, were you guys able to do it, making up numbers? Yes. Way to go. You want to hear a very interesting thing, like on any multiple choice math test, variables and choices.
Pacing, we'll learn pacing strategy.
have to be SAT, ACT, BSAT, GRE, GED, math, it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
There is some sort of test that has variables and answers.
All right, so let's go over it. Let's have,
No, baby. Watch our show.
let's go with Rebecca. Question for me.
The cost to rent a boat for a fishing trip is X dollars, which is to be shared equally among the people taking the trip. If 12 people go on a trip rather than 20, how many more dollars in terms of X will it cost?
Okay, so we're gonna make up numbers. What is the number that we can use here? You could use 12. That is very smart. Remember when I said you guys can either use the biggest denominator or you want to do something that makes sense. Again, I'm not all about fractions if we can get rid of them and dealing with decimals. Is it the end of the world? No. But in this case, if we're trying to deal with 12 people sharing a cost or 20 people sharing a cost, if we say that the cost is 60, now our math is all nice and pretty. So if we have 12 people going on the trip, how much are each of them going to spend? 5. And then what about if there's 20 people? So how much do they save? $2. Whoa. Okay, that was giving me a chair. This is like the service is
I'll help you out. Make it easy. In case you guys haven't picked up, this is my wife too.
Yeah.
That's why I'm so helpful. I'm really not that nice of a guy, bro.
It's not happening towards my activity points, but that's okay. Okay. So now the last thing we need to do is what, guys? What's the last step of the problem? Plug it back in, exactly. So if we plug it back in and we're looking for 2, obviously, answer choice E. Any questions? Hopefully this is helping you guys a little bit. Ooh, I love this problem. Okay, so guys, this is a problem that throws off a lot of students, really smart students. Let's, Scooty chair. Okay, let's go with Kayla.
A car rental company charges for mileage as follows: X dollars per mile for the first N miles, and X plus $1 per mile for each mile over N miles. How much will the mileage charge be in dollars for a journey of B miles where B is greater than 10?
Okay, so this is a situation where we have a lot of variables in answer choice, right? So all we want to do here, guys, is still make up numbers, but here's another point you might want to write down. When you're making up multiple numbers, don't make them the same. Seems kind of simple, but again, because our objective is to get rid of as many answer choices as possible, we make the same number and they switch variables on us, it's not going to help out. So let's go ahead and do this. Now again, we want to use small numbers so that our calculations are fast and we don't have to use the calculator as frequently. So let's go through this. We have a car rental company that charges per mile as follows: X dollars per mile for the first N miles. So how much do you want them to charge? X, $2, beautiful. For the first, so let's just write over here, first mile. And it's for the first N miles, actually, for the first N miles. What do you want N to be? For the first 3 miles, okay? And then, and X plus 1, so they're, so I'm gonna go ahead and make N 4. Because then we're charging X plus $1 and we get that situation where it could just get, pick the wrong answer for no reason. So if we want X plus $1 for each mile over N, so that means we're charging $3 for anything over. Okay, how much will the mileage charge be in dollars for a journey where D is bigger than N? So how many miles do you want to go on? 5. See, you guys are speaking my language now. You get it. You want to make our math easy. So we know it's going to be $2 for, per mile for the first N miles. So how much is gonna charge for the first 4 miles, guys? $8, right? We're $2 per mile for the first 4 miles. So 2 for each 4 miles gives us $8. And then $3 for anything over. How many over are 4 are we going? 1. So 1 time, 1 mile, we have to pay the extra $3. So we have to pay $11 for our trip. Everyone with me so far? Okay. Now, patient. Apparently I'm not patient enough. Everything. So now what's our last step, guys? Okay. So now our last step is we have to plug them in. So everyone go ahead and plug those in and see if you come up with the right answer. D was 5. Yeah, right? That's good. Our X was 2. Our N was 4 and our D was 5. And ultimately we got 11, which I erased, which I should.
Getting the hang of it.
I'm working on it.
You could zoom in more too, give me more room. There you
Look at that. Zoom it in. Have a look, right hand, you got it. Okay. Get it? Alright guys, so let's go over it. So, what do you guys think it is?
Oh my god, only one?
Let's check A and see what happens. Okay, so remember we're looking for 11. So if we started off with D, which is 5, and we have our X, which is 2, plus 1, minus our N, and our N is 4. Right? So 5 times 3 minus 4 gives us 11. And I'll tell you that is the answer. Okay? Raise your hand if you got that before we went over the strategies.
I have a question.
Yes.
So is D the amount of miles over N or the miles in total?
D says for a journey of D miles. So that's the
So
journey.
that's the total?
So another thing to point out about this, guys, is that one of the reasons why making up numbers is also super useful is because if I were to put this equation together, it wouldn't look like that, right? Did you guys know sometimes you can do things to manipulate equations and make them look completely different? And they'll do that on the test. They say not on purpose, but it's a little shady to me. So I'm thinking that they're going to try to throw you off a little bit, so you have to, or at least know how to change around equations to get what they have. So by making up numbers, you don't have to worry about any of that. You just plug it in. Don't think about what the equation is actually going to look like at the end. Just plug it in and get to the end and make sure you have the same answer. Any questions? Awesome. All right, number 8. Let's go with Rock. Rock.
The surface area of the cube above is 294 square centimeters. If C is the midpoint of AB, what is the length of AC in centimeters?
All right. So, surface area. Does everybody remember surface area? The surface, it's the area of the surface. Exactly. Surface area, guys, is exactly what it sounds like. It's the area of the surface. What do we know about a cube? Yeah, all of them are the same, right? So that means that if we have a surface area of the cube is 294, what is the area of each of those surfaces? Huh? 49. Because we have 294 for the total, and we have how many faces on a cube? So we have 49. Now life gets easy, right? Because we know that 49, and we know each of them are a perfect square. So that means that each of these sides has to be what? 7, good. And then it says C is the midpoint. What is the length of AC? So from A to C, midpoint, mid means middle, so just the center of 7 is 3.5. You get up. Okay, good. All right, guys, I want you to take another 10-minute break.
Whole numbers.
Take a break, get up, move around. Good. Snacks, no snacks. Snacks, snacks.
Yeah. Yeah, help yourselves, guys. If you want a snack, water's in the cooler. If you want another water, grab one.
Professors have not been open. They have, thank God.
No, I'm not.
Long time no see.
Because 20% of the trees are opposite.
That's where you going for the sugar?
So
Kind of what I'm feeling too.
root things are pears and apples, but only some of them are pears.
Did you know that in the United States there's never been an incident of a candy or kidney
Let's use it.
It's never happened.
Not that. Don't throw out your paper. I know you want to, but.
Yep.
No worries.
Good. 5 reasons, right? That's just
You too?
Bam.
Bam. What happened?
SpongeBob macaroni and cheese, the Squidward macaroni choking us. But it's the fruit punch because they're gonna be the same. The machine that makes the same. It's for fun. It's like why they have and there's no shape. And there's no like fruit punch. It's like Lucky Charms. They all taste the same, but they're all different shapes. It's for the fun of it. Because they're different berries. This is the same fruit punch. Because there's usually seeds in small berries. Because they just gave up. 92% Tyler's sorting out.
talk about it.
They're all tired.
But only 17 out of 60 of them are plums, so it doesn't matter. But only remember, one portion doesn't have fruits.
Oh, wait, we're on the cheese.
That's why I'm a joke.
Okay, so wait for other classes. When it gets low, I'll redo it again. They're really cheap. I don't mind throwing the money at it. I think it's worth it for the kids.
I don't know if you agree, there's no waste practice, but I might take these tests. The way I do it is, I do a photograph of each problem, and then I go through them myself, and I say, okay, this problem's going to be about this concept, and I put them all in folders, like kind of like index cards. And then I've got all my, and then so it's all the math sections all mixed up by like the problem type.
So they can get each of these individually on a single screen.
Yeah.
And then just
Am I really learning here?
Yeah, so I'm like moving it, and I have like I tagged them, like this one came from this test, this was the answer, so that way when you move it around, it stays with it.
Save and then you can.
There's 8 of them, so.
Punch flavor. Oranges taste the same.
And you got in your Kaplan Advanced, they come with how many tests? There's also the Kaplan Premier, which is, I guess, like the Kaplan Advanced, but it's got a few tests in it. It's such a big one they make. They produce 5 books, it also goes out.
Every small is a
Per year.
defect. There's the special one in the class. Hey, wait a minute.
Oh, I didn't get that.
It's more.
They take advantage of like the way we are, so whenever your thing goes to sleep, it does that?
But remember, 1 out of 30 light bulbs are defective, so you can't expect it to always be right. You just got the unlucky 8% which they can give away are defective. What else happened? These snacks are I'm getting more enjoyment from the snacks than I've gotten out of
Alright guys. Okay,
Oh, right. Apple trees.
apple trees, guys, come on. Orchard to talk about.
Do you need a microphone?
No, I don't. Thank you though.